Hello, everybody. Hello, everyone. I hope everybody's doing very good. Um, Ready for another drawing. The next drawings, I don't know, 10 drawings, 8. They will build up. So, build up meaning, um, and we started with the last one. They will help you and help us as artists and as we're drawing to to develop our skills and kind of have foundations. So the next drawing and the next drawing will be keeping adding skills. Okay, so with that said, I'll go over a little bit with what we spoke about last week. I mean, with the last drawing. But get your paper out. My paper, like I said, is a little heavier. Yours doesn't have to be, but it should be a drawing paper, a little more than just the regular printing paper we get, because you always want that little grain that um, um, can hold the graphite. So think about it as when you get a letter in the mail, right? The letter itself, more likely is what's called printing paper, you know, and the envelope, right? The envelope is a little thicker and it has a little more heaviness, and so that that grain will hold on more better the graphite that the paper the envelope is made of. Not You don't need cardstock. Cardstock, what is called cardstock, may be a little too heavy, but just saying. Drawing paper, you will notice when you hold the paper. Um, Drawing paper, okay, but a surface will work of paper. I'm just saying ideally. And I got my pencil. It has an eraser in the back. I have also erasers that are loose, like this. If you have the pink one, the classic one, right, that's fine too. And a pencil sharpener. So a pencil sharpener, whichever pencil sharpener you have, one of them will work. Okay. Um, so you just need one. Great. So let's get started. Our paper again is going to be placed horizontally, which is the way I have it right now, not like this, but like this. And last time we did, I have it right here with me, but I don't want to confuse you pulling it out. But we did a very, very simple um, beach scene where I show the horizon and the water, and obviously the distinction between the sky and the water, and a little bit of where the water hits the shore. There were no palm trees, no people, maybe a little edge here to the left of a shore island in the background, or the shore of the land we're looking from, right? As maybe like a gulf that goes around. But anyway, it's in the last video. Check it out. But we spoke about the horizon and we shaded a lot. I talk about grayscales, okay? So I'm gonna keep talking about the grayscale. I got mine right here. So this is something I told you, if you do in a past videos, um, you keep handy. Maybe post it on the wall across from you. Um, if you're gonna be carrying it, I recommend you be really careful and you put it between papers, because this smudges. And if you smudge too much of it, the level of intensity of the tone may be either lighter or darker than what you want it to be, right? You want all of these numbers to be different from each other. That's the whole point, that they become darker as the number progress. The tone also gets darker. Okay, I saw an artist the other day, and it reminded me of this process. They were doing the same thing but with colors, and the idea more than tones was they were highlighting in a scale like this, just the colors they were using. So in color pencils, we might practice this if we, and I want to get back to color pencils, but um, They were basically saying, okay, I'm going to use green, orange, and yellow. So then they put those three colors here, and then, sorry, they use yellow, and they put it here. They use orange, and they put it here. They use um, green, and they put it here. And as they were using the colors, they will put them here. And basically, you're you're refraining yourself from using every single color, right? And you're challenging yourself because you're building your drawing first with one color, then with two colors, then with three colors, and you could stop at two or three, and it does get interesting. Um, the drawing tends to be more expressive, right? The colors does give you emotions, so you could constrain those colors rather than use the whole rainbow. Okay, so to get started, we're also going to think of the horizon. And just like the title say, we're going to practice some trees. Okay, and I'm going to keep it simple. We may do definitely two, three, maybe four, about 3 to 4 different type of trees if we can. Definitely more than two. And we're going to use mostly the side of our pencil. But I want you to think of the horizon. We're going to also, again, don't draw the straight line yet, but split your paper visually again in halves, a top half and a bottom half, a top half and a bottom half. So if I put my pencil maybe around here, my pencil is actually hopefully splitting the paper in two halves, the top half and the bottom half. So use your eye. Try to get used to using your eyes for tasks like this because you're already using your eye for proportions. You know when you look at something and you know it's proportionate or it's not, when maybe something is too big or something is too small. These are things we're constantly addressing as artists, okay? So why not also use our eyes to split our paper in two rather than a ruler? So saying that, in this one, and by the way, the horizon, when you do a drawing with the horizon in it, just like we did last time with the ocean, and the doesn't have to be right through the middle of the paper. That line could be a little lower or a little higher. Now, what happens if you make it a little higher? Then you're gonna get more of the, let's say we're drawing that ocean picture of last week. If I raise my horizon, I'm gonna get more water in my picture and less sky. Um, and it's gonna seem as I'm lowering, as the viewer is gonna seem like I'm lowering myself, right? Um, if I if I lower the horizon line, excuse me, you're gonna see that you're gonna get more sky and less ocean water. Now that's gonna seem as you're higher as the viewer. You're standing somewhere higher because the ocean is basically kind of under you. You're looking down on a cliff or something. Does that make sense? And these are strategies artists use to emphasize, let's say, the clouds in the sky in a beautiful painting. Well, you're going to see more of the sky, so they bring the horizon line down. In this drawing, let's start drawing. We're going to think of the horizon, splitting the paper in half, but we're not going to draw a straight line. Okay, the horizon will be in front of us, yes, but we're making fields, so this will be like a field. And just because it's a field, we're gonna kind of bend down that line, going from the right down to the left, a little downwards. Look at the field was coming down. You see, and I could make another one line, but you see how now it's like a kind of like a little hill coming down. And again, I always will make my lines more darker than what I usually do because I want to make sure that you see them on the video. Um, Great. So that's our field. You want to keep this line that I just did maybe a little lighter, and I'll explain you why later when we do grass on the field. We don't want to define this line too much. We want to make the grass, right, like pop up. Okay, so why don't we just get started? We'll deal with the sky um, later. I want the sky to actually, you know what? Let's deal with the sky now. So the field, this is where you start thinking of your picture, and I know you're going by my drawing and following me, so you don't have the um, image that I have in my mind of what's going to happen, but I'm going to express it to you right now and tell you. Okay. So the idea is a field, and we can see it's a field. We could have made it a straight line, but I want to make it dynamic and interesting by going down a little bit. It's going to have trees, so we're going to have trees. Now, some trees are going to be um, farther than others, so that means they're smaller and lighter. And some trees will be closer to us, so more likely they'll be bigger and a little more darker in regards to the tones using the graphite. Another thing, they're trees, right? So the leaves and the buildup of the body of the tree itself should go higher. We're not going to go too high because, um, right, I can see right now that the field ends here, and I don't want my trees to go beyond the border of the paper. Okay, so the trees will be here where my fingers are, and some trees back here, smaller because they're farther away, and there'll be shading, and the field itself will have grass. The field will be green, right? It's not a desert. It will have grass. So now saying that, I say that because I want to emphasize to you, and please start visualizing that that means that the field will be in a tone of kind of gray, light gray. Now, what does that mean? That means we're going to shade this later on and make the effect of grass. Great. But just saying that is going to distinguish the gray of the ground with the white of the sky. And I say white, but what I mean is the white of the paper. So one side is going to be the bottom gray because it has, which I told you that we're going to shade it, and the top will be white because the paper is white. Now, the way we're going to deal with the sky is that I could also shade it and gray it. Now, yeah, we could do that, but I want to keep that um, contrast of the white of the paper with the gray of the ground. Now, saying that the top part will stay white. Yes, trees will be obviously on top of it because trees will be here. But we're going to make clouds, and our clouds will be gray. Now, that's different from the last drawing where our clouds were white of the paper because we grayed it around the clouds and we made the sky be gray. It's not really that it was gray. We use graphite, but the gray represented the blue of the sky. We know that. Okay, but this time we're not going to grade the sky. We're going to leave it white, and what's going to be gray is the clouds. Okay, and we're going to make the clouds thinner and a little obviously gray. Um, okay, but you could always play around, and maybe in your drawing you want to do it like last time. Maybe you want to shade the sky too. Now, if you do that, I will make it a different shade than the field. Okay, maybe the field is a tiny little bit darker than the sky. Maybe you want to grade the sky, like I said, and just like last time, erase the clouds and make them white because the paper will be white. But I personally gonna leave the sky white, the white of the paper, and I'm gonna shade the clouds gray. Okay, so let's do that now, and I do that because the trees will be on top of those clouds. Okay, you could do those clouds later after the trees too. Sure, it's a drawing, but let's see how the sky will look before we do the trees. Okay, these are going to be thin clouds, And I want you to think of a pattern, not a pattern, sorry, direction. Okay, it could be, look at my fingers, they're going just like the field, they're going like this, or it could be like down in an angle like this down, or it could be more in an angle. Um, all right, so let's get started. I'm gonna do little ones, and I'm gonna keep this angle. And some parts of these clouds are gonna be dark. Sorry, more darker than others. That's pretty big. I started small, but let's keep this one small. And you'll see once I keep adding more clouds that 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 there's a direction, there's a pattern and a direction. Okay. All right. Hmm. This one is going to be a little bigger, but you see how it keeps that going down pattern, and do it randomly. Use the side of your pencil to be softer, and this part is thicker. Maybe there's a line. Here we go. You see how now you start seeing that they're going to come down? And we could be more obvious about the going down. The clouds can be cut off by the paper, okay? The trees I wouldn't like. So this cloud is going to hide behind the field. The clouds can definitely get cut off by the paper, no worries. See, there's one here that's getting cut. Okay. I will build these clouds a little more in a moment with making some parts of them grayer, and I'm gonna erase because I think there's too much cloud here. So I'm erasing just because I get the feeling you can see when you see something and you say, this is maybe a little too much. But I think this is okay now, right now. Yeah. So the idea is that they have chunks of or parts of it that the sky can be seen through, gaps that are white. Okay. All right. I'm gonna gray very lightly the field, and then we'll get started to do the trees. So the field is getting grayed, very soft. And if you notice, my pencil is moving. My pencil is moving just like the field is coming down. So when you look at a field, Look at this. Very light. And to make it even lighter, but understand that you by doing what I'm gonna do next, your fingers will get um, dirty, or the graphite will get in your fingers. I'm passing my fingers through, and that will soften even more the graphite. You see, now everything is kind of grayish, but don't forget that, look, your fingertips will get shiny like that for the graphite. So this is where I say it's good to have. You don't have to. I'm going to leave my fingers like that. Just be aware they're dirty, but a moist, not too wet, but kind of more moist towel, or paper towel. Then you rub your fingers there and you clean them. All right, let's do those trees. Let's start by knowing where the trunk will be. So very lightly, I'm gonna put one tree here. There's another trunk over here. One bending maybe this way, another bending the other way. Um, One here, and a bunch together here. And the way I say why a bunch are here together, gathered in this group, is because I want to stop. I want to close this up here heavier, so our eyes kind of stop right here. There'll be some small ones here in the distance. So one, two, and this is very light. You could erase this, but let's get started. Now we have an idea of where they're gonna be. Okay. So I'm not building upon the branches yet. If you notice, it's just an idea of where the trunk is gonna be, and obviously the trunk will be thicker. But yeah, this is how we're gonna do the body of this tree that's right in the middle of us. Look. You got to think of the body of the tree, right? So, did you want to make it like a cylinder going up? Did you want to make it where it's like an umbrella that it branches out? Do you want to make it like a cone? This one's going to be half cylinder, kind of, and a little bit of a cone, meaning the top is wider, and as it comes down, it gets thinner. That's the cone. It's like an ice cream cone, right? So, we know the top will be a bit thicker, sorry, wider than the bottom down here. And then we'll deal with the branches and all that. We'll do the cool thing when you do the branches like that towards the end is you put them through or inside all those leaves we're gonna represent right now. And then those bodies of leaves, we could darken them or highlight them with the eraser. And that's actually what happens in nature with trees. Leaves are kind of in chunks throughout the trees, and then some of those bodies of leaves get more light than others, right? So watch. So we're going to use the side of the pencil, and you're going to think of what I just said, kind of groups. So here's a group. Here's another group. This is just for this one here. Later we'll light up some of these groups of leaves. Another group here. Now remember, I gotta make them smaller as I come down closer to the bottom of the tree. And not all the way to the bottom, because you always want to show the trunk at the bottom, because the tree doesn't get the leaves right away from the ground, right? There's a distance. So here's another group of leaves, maybe a smaller one here. This is getting a little confusing with the clouds, but and don't be afraid to make leaves in the middle of the tree, like in the, but look, looks like a cone. But you got, it actually looks like I graded everything, but I was thinking, and you saw me creating these groups, these chunks. Okay, so now that I have that, um, we need to distinguish in these groups um, what's darker and what's lighter. So what I want you to do is to go back and think of those groups, and not all of them, but most of them. You're gonna darken around them, kind of like an outline, but very random. So look, this could be one. You see how I'm making it, sorry, a little more darker. And by the way, this is very sketchy. We're being very sketchy. We're not giving details. Sorry if the camera is not focusing as I wish it will. There you go. Maybe it's too bright. But you see how it's very sketchy because we're using the side of our pencil. Um, but you'll see. So that's one group. You can see it here. Another group is maybe behind here. But I'm not enclosing the whole thing, and I darken this more. Another group is over here. Maybe there's gaps, right? We let the sky be seen through. Maybe another group is the entire thing. As you get kind of close to the center, you could darken with no worries because usually that's where more of the leaves are. They group in the middle. Um, but leaf gaps of the sky that is being seen through, you know. Okay, so this is how you can make one type of tree. Now you could also use the eraser to highlight some parts. See? Okay. Now I'm gonna just visually, I'm gonna start making the branches just to show you. Let's make the trunk so the trunk will be thick, thicker, and then it branch out. And as you do the branches, you could do them inside the tree. So watch, one branch, it's in here. You see what I'm talking about? So I don't continue from the trunk to this one. I'm doing them inside the body of the tree. So basically, I don't continue here. I bring it up all the way here. So look, there's another branch here. And when you do branches, they're like the letter V. They're like, so this goes here and this goes here. It's the letter V or Y. And then another here. You know? But you see how they're coming from, it looks like they're coming from inside the the tree. That's your tree right there, and we're gonna cut it right here softly. And it's very soft because we use the side of our pencil. But there's your, let's wait for the camera to focus. It takes a second, but it will. It will focus, and there you go. You see how sketchy, but when I say sketchy, is that it's not detailed. It's not detailed because we've been using the side of our pencil all this time. Okay? So I think this tree on the top needs to be more round. It's kind of flat up here. So let's make sure that people can actually see that it's round on the top. Then that's not a cloud. You see how the branches seem to continue. So basically, by doing them like this, cut off, they they it seems they're coming from throughout the tree. So let's do another one. This next one, maybe next to it, is gonna be more like a cylinder, and it's actually part of it behind this one. So you can see that it's gonna definitely look like this one I'm about to do is behind this one now. This trunk ends here, this trunk ends here. So this tree that I'm about to do is behind this one, just because of the planes. I have taught you this before. This plane is lower than this one. So this one is closer to us. It's like when you look in front of you, you enter a room and you look down and you see tiles on the floor. Well, the things on the row of tiles, that's the thing that's closer to you will be in a plane of tiles that are actually closer to you, lower. The higher the tile row, the higher that row is, right? If you continue looking forward, that thing or object will be farther away from you. So let's do it. Let's make the body. And by the way, I might make this tree in some part a little darker to actually push it behind this one. Um, I think we could make use of our eraser a little better. I think I could do that. Um, and what I mean by that is in creating highlights. These are number twos, but they don't feel like number twos. So number twos are richer. Like there you go, a little darker. They can create a little more darker effects. So this will be more of a cylinder like that, like a popsicle. If you look at a popsicle, it's like a cylinder. All right, let's finish these trees. Just like this one. The only thing is I'm gonna have to um, not darken it because they both can have the same tone. It's like let's do the trunk and the branches. Look, if you notice, I'm also making the branches darker. Look, this line of branches just tends to be darker. But I'm gonna try to distinguish. It's gonna be hard because in nature that's hard to do, to create a distinction between the trees, because they once they come together they all look like the same, but that they're part of each other. But if I erase, I could create some kind of highlights. Yeah. See? See, I'm pushing the other one kind of back by there you go. So that tree, there's a tree back here. Now you'll see how it all makes sense when we put a little shade on these trees. Now this could be like a little more thinner by itself tree right here that continues. So I'm gonna do the branches first for this one, and I'm gonna fill them up. And when I fill them up, I'm careful not to darken too much. But you see how you got to think of it as groups of leaves. So group of leaves right here. This branch has a group of leaves here. Maybe there's a little group of leaves here. And that's it. That's enough. Always leave room for the um, sky in the back to be seen through. And what I'm doing now is I'm darkening around those groups of leaves. And after I'm gonna highlight around those groups of leaves. So now I can highlight the groups of leaves. So we have darken and highlights. And they go according to where we put the branches. I'm going to erase this trunk with it here. I think this is okay. And I said there were going to be a bunch of other trees here that actually can come up to be together. So um, so I'm going to keep them as a kind of like a cylinder too. But look, there's a group of leaves here, a group of leaves here, a group of leaves here. And that's how you build these groups. And they could be, they don't all have to be the same size. Maybe there's a little small group here. But by grouping leaves like this, what that allows you to do too is between them, there's these gaps that let the sky come through. Um, and that's it, really what happens in nature. The whole chunk of the tree is not just a bulk or cover up. You can still see through the sky. So this is, you see how there's a bunch, these are just a bunch of, yes, they're sketchy because they're just lines of my pencil, but in those sketchy groups of lines, we can see there's groups, 1, 2, 3, random. Now I put my branches through a little darker. Look, intercut, and intercutting them allows me, gives us the effect that um, they're coming from the actual leaves. They don't continuously come straight from the from the trunk. So there are all these lines, you see, and then maybe some parts are darker of those groups of leaves. That was pretty dark, and if that happens, tends to occur through the middle, the darkest part of the tree. That's where the chunk of the majority of the leaves are. And you could also create highlights. So just like you darken, the eraser, I'm going to erase a little bit of this darkness here. The eraser can create highlights. And those could be very well defined. When I'm doing this erasure, I'm making sure that I do it, there you go, that it's just random and kind of like keeps it all kind of together. I like that. So these are groups of trees from far away. It makes more sense. Okay, so we said there will be some far away trees here. We could just be more softer. So just be more gentle with your shading, and even the trunks have to be lighter. Smaller, maybe some branches. Okay, so now we will start shading. So we'll shade like a little darker body down here, right where the trunk hits the the field. You see how this one back here, I kept it independent because it's far away from the others down here. But the body of where the shading happens is right there. You see now it starts making more sense because we're grounding our trees. They're getting grounded. Okay. Sharpen your pencil if you have to sharpen your pencil. So this, if you notice the drawings and the ones we're gonna do too, not just these two we done last time, have been very soft and sketchy. When I say sketchy, it's because you don't see the detail. And when you do drawings like this, okay, this is what happens. You let the viewer put the details unconsciously. So if I show you, if you see this drawing, right, just like you're looking at in front of you through the screen, we know there's trees, we know there's a field, and our eyes try to finish the picture and put those details there if they're necessary. But when you look closely, it's really just a mess of um, sketch marks. Look, the body of that tree. It's just playing with shade tones. Okay, some are lighter, some are darker. As long as you keep that playfulness of the different tones. Um, so I'm gonna get maybe a little darker as I'm closer to the trunk. If your pencil um, is not giving you the darkness you want, get sharpen it, or try to see if you get another pencil. Okay, so now the feel. The feel will have this random, and I'm not gonna spend too much. I mean, I'm gonna spend the time doing this, but from the moment I start doing these little marks, you see, that are gonna look like grass. From now on, I'm gonna be careful with my finger not to smush that because we don't want this smushed. These are gonna pretend visually to be kind of like glass. And as you get farther up here, you get softer and you make them disappear. Because far away over there, you're not supposed to see this. It's like tall grass. But as it gets farther away, all the way over there, you're not supposed to see it. So I barely make them over there. They're mostly here. And I'm going to be careful, I say it again, to pass my fingers now through this, like I did earlier. Because now we don't want as much this. We want it actually to be seen. And this makes the feel and the shading of the trees to be a shading of the grass itself. Feel more confident as you get under here the trees because you know they could be a little darker on the shading. Almost done. And don't worry, we're gonna go over these trees again. We're gonna look at them and see what can we, if there's something we want to not fix but add or give them a little more shape or volume. Because I can see the ones that are far away, they could get a little reshaping. But we're almost done with this. And maybe as you come closer, especially to these corners, you're gonna make these marks a little bigger and darker because that means that this grass over as it comes down closer to you, you see right here, it's a little more pronounced and more obvious. Okay, I'm making some coming down because those will be the tips of the ones you don't see being raised from the ground. Okay, so these trees back here, let's keep the softness of the tone. Let's just give them a better form. It's because he got confused with the cloud that was in there. So maybe more roundness at the top. And these clouds, I'm going to erase the cloud under behind it because the cloud is making it a little more confusing to see what it really is. But as long as we keep the top round and make sure that those back there are lighter than these ones, that makes these guys seem farther away. We know that rule already. We don't have to worry about. I'm going to make the top of the field a little more obvious or clear that is the 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 field. Okay. And we're almost done. I think this looks good. I'm gonna have to turn the paper because you see there's always a shininess. Sorry, here. So if I move the paper more to my to our right, it shines less, and then you can see the drawing a little better. So it makes it a little more dynamic. The fact that they're coming down the hill, not coming down the hill, that the hill is coming down. You know. Okay. So this is our trees and the clouds in the sky mixing with the trees. If you notice, none of the top of the trees are reaching the edge of the paper. Neither is this one back here to our right. It's almost touching the edge, but it's not entirely so. I'm kind of happy about that. But all right, so I'll stop here. This is our drawing, and I'll show you a close up. You'll see that it's just a very sketchy drawing. There's no details, so it's really hard. I don't know how to describe this. We used the side of our pencil and we sketched around, but we were very conscious as we make these marks to create a contrast between dark, middle gray, and then highlights by erasing. You see, that's what defines the tree in our eyes. The darkness, the erasing. You see the erasing of that shows the white of the paper, and the the branches are these lines that come out of nowhere from the tree. Um, so that randomness, still in that randomness, there was a purpose. There was a purpose, and then all these little lines in the field. When you look at it from far away, it it makes more sense. If I show the paper on the side, is to avoid the glare. Okay, that's what I meant, the glare. You see that glare? I could take it away by turning the paper a little. All right, because graphite does glare. It's carbon. All right, so that's our drawing. I'm gonna sign it. You sign it too. You could do this drawing again. Watch the video. Um, yeah, give it out as a gift. We can see what it is. Last time we did a C. This time we do a field. All right. Let's see if we can see it against a black background as last time. It makes it see it a little better. And that way you get a last chance. You could even pause the video here. But this is the drawing kind of frame around a little dark. There you go. You know, the rules, you can see like the difference. We didn't keep them all the same line up. You see this one is in front of us because look, it's down here. This one is a little higher. So it's telling us that it's far away. This one is even farther away than this one and this one because look, it's all the way up here. These guys are even farther away and become smaller. Even the top becomes shorter because they're far away. They're all the way up here. And they become lighter. And by making them lighter, they even seem more far away because you can barely see them. Okay, so have a great time wherever you are, whatever time you see this video later on. But stay safe, and I will be seeing you all very soon. Take pictures of your drawings and keep them all together, okay, with your grayscale. Keep them all in like a little portfolio, right? So they don't smudge, especially the field. We don't want our hands or things to rub on this. See you soon. Stay safe.